I have an AI system that runs the house. So,
Wow.
you can talk to the house and it will talk back to you, and you can ask questions. And basically it's an AI, it's a little bit like altered carbon. So the AI runs the house.
It's Abe Cannon. It's an Audacy check-in with Zoltan Bathory, who's about to announce the new pope. He's in the Vatican right now. You see him in the background. Zoltan, who's the new pope?
Well, I can't tell you yet. I'm mixing the powder for the right color of smoke. You know what I mean? Like I'm working on it.
Okay, a lot to talk about.
It might be me. I'm just saying.
I always said every major announcement should be from a balcony window because it just seems bigger. And like right. Every major announcement you guys make should be from your background there at your castle.
It's a blue screen. I mean, green screen, whatever. It's not real. I mean, it is. But
I do have a couple questions about the castle, but let's get to the new album first. 20 years of Five Finger Death Punch, the best of. You're re-recording some of your biggest songs, including I Refuse, and you have Maria Brink from In This Moment. The new version, I think, is better than the original. I feel like it's like I Refuse wasn't a single, but it's like a hit amongst your fans, right?
Yes, correct. In fact, that was sort of a pain, that we always had, because there's just so many singles you can release on radio from a record. Generally, it's 3, maybe 4, And then once we have like 3, 4 singles out, the radio will not play the 5th or the 6th one. That's just how this works, right? And so we had this massive debate at which songs should be singles, and this was one of the favorites. And in a toss-up, it kind of didn't become a single. We had another 3 or 4 singles from that record, and so we always thought, like, man, this song should have been one. It just never got enough attention or light that it was an important song. And so this time came around, 20th anniversary. We were like, hey, what would we give to the fans? This is a great idea to do this, and then re-recorded it, right? 225 technology. Plus we have Marie Brink, who's an old friend of us. We know each other in our whole careers. Toured together many times. It made all the sense in the world.
And this is volume 1. You're going to put out obviously a volume 2 if you're calling this volume 1, right?
It's definitely logically.
Yeah,
looks like yes, of course. So we looked at the 30 most popular song from the band, right? That's obviously.
So wait, let's go. So the track, let's really quick. Under and Over It, Wash It All Away, Battleborn, I Refuse with Maria, Jekyll and Hyde, Wrong Side of Heaven, Lift Me Up, Far From Home, Bad Company, House of the Rising Sun, Gone Away, Remember Everything, Coming Down, The Bleeding Trouble, Welcome to the Circus, and then you have a couple live versions. You have The Bleeding Live. So that's an awesome. That's pretty awesome. like that. If you just played that at a Five Finger Death Punch show, that set list, I think you'd be good for the day, right?
I mean, you know what? It's really funny. We have 28 top 10 hits, right? Like 28 hits, and then I think 40 something entry on the Billboard. I mean, the numbers are crazy. And if we wanted to play all the hits, actually, we would have to play a 4-hour show.
Or you could do 2 nights like Metallica's doing. You could do the no repeat weekend. Which you were a part of.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea actually. You're giving me like, let me writing down the notes here. So yeah, actually, like it's just the body of work. It's so many hit songs. It's as I said, if we just play those, we couldn't fit them in one show. Definitely have to be 2.
And for the people not familiar with I Refuse, this thing is, I don't know, it's like a new coat of paint on it, and I feel like this is like a massive hit for you guys. Like the old version, whatever, the new version now, I think it's just like a new song.
Right. I mean, look, the old version was already, we were very proud of that. So these new versions are almost like paying respect to the old ones, because those were recorded and they sounded incredible. So in fact, that's kind of a challenge when you have to re-record your own songs. It's not a cover.
Yeah.
You have to record your own song, and you have to do better than you did before.
How do you go about doing that? Is it like, are there, for all those songs I just went through the list, like were there things like, man, I wish I would have changed this part of the solo, I wish this was louder? Like when you go into it's like now you've lived with these songs for so many years, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, well, wait a minute, maybe this should have been here, this should have been here, this should have been louder, put this in. Like, how did you decide to change these songs that are like iconic songs for your fans?
I mean, literally, as you just said, we got to live with these songs for years, right? And listening to them, and also your voice changes a little bit as you're getting older, right? It's a lot of factors go into it, but pretty much that. Like you live with those songs. Now, there was no problem with the song to begin with, so that's what I meant by it's a challenge to like, whoa. It was already great, in my opinion. We had a song that all these songs, like we are proud of them. And so that's a challenge. Like, okay, how do we make these? How do we reimagine it for 225? How do we do this? And so you'll hear it. Obviously, you already heard this one. It's like we put the work in. So yeah,
it's awesome. And now, after hearing the new versions, like, do you feel like you guys are a better band in 2025?
It's like you have to be. Like imagine like the hundreds and hundreds of shows we played. Like thousands actually. And like you absolutely become a better band. Yes.
And we should explain why. Partially the reason why you did this is because your entire catalog was it was sold without even telling you it was sold, right?
So you know about that.
Yeah.
The news are spreading. So look, yes, but it's pretty common in the music industry. Like outside from the music, people don't really know that this actually happens. But record labels do trade or sell masters many times without letting the artist know or having the chance even to participate. So this kind of happens. This is the thing that is it's from business perspective, from the record label side, it's a move on the chessboard, right? And then this is our move now,
It's
just one of those
Taylor Swift did the same thing.
Yes.
And if you notice, if you're looking at her music, it always says Taylor's version. So I was wondering, will this say like Zoltan's version next to the new song?
It's gonna be the anniversary version. It's a 225 anniversary version, so that's what we're gonna call them, the anniversary version. So and it's literally that. Like Taylor Swift, did what she did. It was a brilliant move, right?
Yeah.
And many artists, when it happens to them, right, they kind of, they helpless and they don't really have an answer. And some artists goes like, you know what, you made your move, now we're gonna make ours. And it is what it is. Now, Taylor Swift has a rabid fan base, right? A very hardcore fan base. So when she put that at the new songs, the fan base just simply switched to the new streams. It just happens so that we have probably the craziest fan base on the planet. I mean, like these guys are with us since day one, literally.
Yeah.
And they're hardcore. I mean, it's the most loyal fan base, so probably the same thing gonna happen. They just switch.
And the last thing about this, it's a silly move. It's not like you live in a castle. Like maybe you might have gave them more money than they got. Like
you didn't ask us, like exactly. Like at least give me the chance to buy backward masters if you want to sell it. But so it's like no blame, no hate. I understand that this is a move. It happens all the time. It just we responded like, okay, well then we do this.
So you live in if they redid Scarface, they should do it in your house. You might have my favorite house that I've ever seen in my life. You live in a castle in Las Vegas. Are there dudes behind you doing jujitsu right now? I know you have like
jujitsu not right now, but that's 24/7 is going on. Yeah. Like we call it the jiu-jitsu castle, right? It's everybody's always here training. Yesterday I had an old friend of mine, judo Olympian Joy Marshall here. I mean, the who's who is coming here training it pretty cool.
So and your whole crew, they just hang out there all the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, this was actually not my idea. I stole it from a friend of mine. A friend of mine who's a movie producer, lived in Los Angeles, and he had this house with an open door policy, right? I would go over to his house and there would be a bunch of people in his house watching TV, doing this and that, right? And I would his name is Brian. I'm like, hey, where's Brian? And we don't know, somewhere in Amazon shooting some, documentary. And cool. And we would just hang out in his house. He wouldn't be even home for months. And I met the craziest, most interesting people in his house. There was always some really bizarre stuff, like, oh wow, and I thought, man, what a great idea. I mean, if somebody gonna take something about a TV, it's like, what I mean? So there's nothing in the house that you can, like, it's not even a thing, but it's just the whole idea that people could just go to his house and he would be there. And man, I'm like, that's pretty cool. And so the house before this one was already there. It had 2 recording studios in the house. And my girl used to DJ. So they would be banging around dance music, a bunch of producers making music in one studio, the rock guys in the other studio. The entire gym is in my home dojo, beating the crap out of each other. Outside, like I had this backyard, people in the pool. So they always had like 20-something people at my house all the time.
And you have a lake. You have a lake too. You have your own lake.
So it's not my lake. It's just I just happen to be on the shore. It has, it has like over a 3-mile shoreline. It's a pretty decent lake in the middle of Las Vegas. Yeah.
Why would you ever leave? Like, if I wouldn't, like, if I were you, I would never leave. I was watching. I've seen a lot of stuff about your castle. I would never leave that place. It's the great, like, you have everything. I mean, I guess unless you just want to play in front of a huge crowd, but you could probably do that at your castle, have them come to in your yard or something.
You could play on the dock. We have a boat dock. I mean, it's pretty funny because we have these electric boats. So I get on a boat in the morning, I could blow my Viking horn, right? And then I go across the lake, get breakfast, right? And then I boat back. It's pretty much my morning routine. It's pretty funny.
Do you ever come downstairs like for breakfast and you just see some dude sitting on one of your couches and you're like, who are you?
All the time, yes.
And it's just like, you don't care. You're like, oh,
yeah. I mean, these are all my friends. There's always, there's always a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys training. They have the fingerprints in the codes. So they put in a fingerprint and then the security system leave them alone. I have an AI system that runs the house. So,
wow.
You can talk to the house and it will talk back to you and you can ask questions. And basically it's an AI, it's a little bit like altered carbon. So the AI runs the house, but it's mine. I have a whole rack module in the basement.
Yeah.
It runs the house. And this AI talks to ChatGPT or any of the other AIs online, but it's yours. So it's also the firewall kind of.
So could you tell it your house to do something right now or no?
Yeah. I can turn lights on and off, and I can ask the weather or whatever. It's called Josh, so you have to say, "Hey, Josh," and then it turns on, and then you can ask what's the weather. Could
you do it? Could you do it right now?
Hey, Josh, what's the weather today in Las Vegas? Let's see if you can answer me.
It's currently clear at 90 degrees. Expect a high of 95 degrees and a low of 66 degrees.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
So you can, so the next level is that, the face recognition. So it recognizes people and then it's like, hey, who are you? And then, the machine guns come out like, we don't know you. No, but and I all have all the military guys running around here. The other day we were doing a video and people were like, oh, you have armed security? I'm like, no, these guys are always here. And we were just shooting a video and they were here. Most of them trained with me anyway, the jiu-jitsu guys. Yeah. So, it's pretty funny because if a stranger would come into my house, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, people, it's Las Vegas. Oh, yeah. People open carry, right? It's completely normal. Right? I carry all the time. So, you know what I mean? And so when people walk in, is it like a military installment? What's going on?
And the rule is if they walk in your house, they have to roll with you on the jiu-jitsu mat. And then if they last 20 seconds, they could stay.
Right. That's definitely the rule.
So is the plan to re-record every Five Finger Death Punch song, or are you just doing like your bigger songs?
So we're going to start, we started with this 30. So basically we looked at what's the most popular 30 songs, right? And then we were like, let's get those because those are the ones obviously resonate with the fans the most. Let's record those. And this is the 20th anniversary. So beside that, what happened with the Masters, we were also already looking for something to do for the fans, right? So it was kind of like, oh, well, here's some lemon. let's make some lemonade, right? Like this happened, and like, okay, well, I mean, like this happened anyway. So, well, it's a perfect opportunity then, instead of getting pissed off or, getting mad about it, it's like, you know what? Well, it is what it is. Then why don't we turn it into a positive? And then this is our little move on the chessboard. We're gonna re-record it. Fans gonna be happy. This is the 30 most popular songs. Let's reimagine them. Let's record them with today's sound and today's voice. And as you recognized it, we lived with these songs for years and years. So how would they sound today? And we just did that.
Is there a plan to put out a new album at some point soon?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll doing this first, and then the new album.
And then you guys have like a handful of shows coming up. Is there a tour along with these new albums, these new reimaginings of these albums?
So right now we have a bunch of festivals, big festivals booked. And then, we are always in conversations about the future. The bands, this size usually have to plan a year ahead, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Right. So we are already talking about 2026, what's happening, and everything gets, there's a very specific schedule when I can tell you something, when I cannot yet, there's a special, right, So yeah, we're talking about it, but, we're playing a bunch of huge festivals like Incarceration and similar, most of them are Danny Wimmer, who's a good friend of us, and one of the people, man, I think the anti-rock community owes him, a big thank you, because, man, it's like back in with the time Mayhem festivals with John Reese, Danny Wimmer, Gary Spivak, all these guys kept, rock music alive. Those, the general audience don't know this, but man, those guys work their tails off to this happens. And now it's like America, very similar to Europe. America has now these giant festivals where 50,000 plus people can show up. That was a very European thing. And these guys,
the times weren't the way they are now. Like rock music is having a real resurgence. And like you said, there's thousands, 50,000 people at these festivals.
Right.
It wasn't happening for a while.
Right. And these guys have a massive hand in that, so, this is, so anytime when they put up a festival, they ask us, we go, we play those for sure.
What's it like when you play in South America? Because every crowd I see in South America, they are the craziest crowds I've ever seen anywhere. Even better than us in the United States. I hate to say it.
I mean, tell you the truth, it was shocking the first time we went to South America. First was Argentina, and we went to Brazil, and I was surprised but not surprised, because we all know this, but I was surprised in a way that, I don't know, there was maybe 40,000 people there, and everybody knew every words to every song. Like the whole crowd just sung the song.
And they don't speak English.
Yeah, but they know all the words.
Yeah.
And, it would be normal if the first, I don't know, 5 rows are the hardcore fans come to see you, and they're there and they want to sing. But the whole crowd, I mean, it was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
You talk all the time about your mindset. Like there's a lot of people, they hit these roadblocks. Like, what's your advice to people? Because you're so successful, you always have that mindset of it's going to happen no matter what, right? Like you never doubt yourself. Like what's advice you have for people that are struggling to reach the kind of whatever their success might be?
The biggest one, I would say, remember your miracles. And what I mean by that is pretty much everybody in life can remember situations, like we can do the exercise right now. Some things happen to you in your life, right? That is such a synchronicity, such a coincidence that it cannot be a coincidence. It's like, you can call it a miracle. It's like something you wanted just appeared, or something happened that was not calculable. It's just like, okay, for this to happen, so many coincidences have to, happen in the same time, yet it happened. Everybody has those moments, right? And remember those moments. Like engrave that in your mind, that you wanted something, and when it happened, when sort of almost the universe yielded, right? And now it happened. Because more of those things you have, more of those miracles are check marked. Like, I remember this, I wanted this and I achieved it. All those things as well, right? Check mark them. Once you have a list of those, then you can recognize the patterns, like, you know what? This whatever this is, be a holographic universe, a computed universe, whatever this is, right? It's intelligent. The whole thing. There's an intelligence. There's a logic. There's a base substrate, a logic that everything runs on, and everything is connected. And these miracles are happening. So if all these miracles already happened, why wouldn't happen another one? Right? And the fact that you're alive today and you're here and we're having this conversation, that means pretty much everything worked out for you. Because when people look at their life like, oh, I want to have a castle. Well, you don't have to have a castle. What you need is air, water, and food, right? Which I lived that way too. You know what I mean? Like I lived in a way where, I had a $5 budget a day, lived in a ghetto, and, this is what it is, man. I gotta figure it out. And, so if you're alive, if you woke up this morning, you're winning. That's it. You're winning. You're alive. Holy cow! Look at this.
Manifesting definitely works.
Right. And then once you manifest, then gratitude goes a long way. Just remember your blessings, remember your miracles, and be grateful. Anything you're not grateful for will be removed. I have a couple of friends that talk about this all the time. They're like in sober livings, and this is one of the things they are saying. Like anything that you're not grateful for will be removed. So that's it. Remember your miracles. Once you have a row of them, then whatever you are embarking on, it should happen. Why not? So many miracles already happen. It's a miracle that you're alive and here, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
why can't it be you? Why can't you get this? Why they got it? Why can't you get it?
Correct.
And oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Action. However, that's another thing. Action is the only one that creates change. A thought will not, right? So you have to take action. So you can have the best plans, the best ideas. If you don't do something, if there's no action involved, nothing gonna happen. And you can have the greatest potential. Without action, nothing gonna happen. So many times people who might be not, maybe they don't have the potential, not as talented, but they're really hard workers, generally win. Right? Because action makes the change.
Yeah, right? Manifesting plus hard work equals results.
Yeah, there's that what is that low anecdote when people say like, well, there are 3 frogs are sitting on a lotus leaf. It's like it's a Eastern philosophy kind of. 3 frogs are sitting on a lotus petal, right? 2 of them thinking about jumping in the water. How many left on the lotus leaf? 3. They were just thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like you gotta do it. You have to do the work.
And you even have a bigger because you had a couple near-death experiences, right? So you've seen things. I don't want to like get into that, but can you just tell us because I watch a lot of videos about the near-death experiences, right? And they all tell the same story. So there has to be, unless they're all lying, all these random people. Can you just tell me what happens when you die? Like, can you just a 30-second? I don't want you to I don't want to make you get into the whole thing, but just so people know, like what you've seen a couple times. What will happen when you're at that point?
So the fact that you're aware of dying tells you the fact that you have a witness, something more, something that doesn't die. You died, and you know you died. And you definitely have a third perspective on that. So that means, and it's the same thing you can come to in the process of meditation. You're watching your mind. That's meditation. You're watching your mind and trying to silence it, trying to make everything even. And then eventually you start to have these questions like, okay, if I'm watching my mind, who is the watcher? Who's the witness, right? And so you have this, in that process, it called self-realization, right? When you realize like, oh, I'm not the mind, I'm not the body. When you realize this, when you actually realize this is a profound spiritual experience. And dying is very similar. When it happens, you know you died, right? And then you have that realization, but I am still here somehow. I am still processing. I'm aware that I died.
And did you do that whole like life review thing where you were looking back at everything? Did you experience that?
So that is not really happening in a way that, people see a movie, you're kind of aware of everything in the same time. Now, we could talk about what I think is happening, right? I have a theory of what's happening, why that is happening. It's like, you know, your mind, your body, you're basically dying, you're shutting down, right? And so, in my opinion, is my theory, I think what's happening is every time you're in a situation, right, life and death situation or any kind of situation, your mind is looking for a solution, right? And so I think what's happening when you're dying, it's a cathartic. This is the biggest thing will ever happen to you when you die. I know because I felt that, like, man, this is the most important thing ever happened. You know, but I just happened so that I'm still here. But
Yeah.
you know, but when it happens, that's how that feels. And what I think happening is your mind is looking for a solution. It knows that it's, you know, your body, your mind knows it's dying. Like, you're dying. And you go through the movie of your whole life, I think, for the reason of looking for anything that can save you. I think that's why it happens. It's just a theory, but I think that's what's happening. You go to the library of, like, you know, you're like, if you were a martial artist, or if somebody twisting your arm this way, then you do that, right? Like, you have answers to things. Now, in this situation, you're dying. What's the answer? How do I survive? How do I get out of it? And I think your mind just goes through your entire life looking for a possible answer, looking for a way out. I think that's what's happening when that happens.
And your answer was, they're like, you have to re-record I Refuse.
Yes.
Get Maria Brink from In This Moment. And then
that's what it was.
So I could talk to you for 10 hours about all this stuff, but you're one of the most interesting guys I've ever talked to. Zoltan Bathory, Five Finger Death Punch, the new song I Refuse, Maria Brink from In This Moment, so awesome. Love it. It's so, like, it just feels good. It's like, ugh. Love it. I love the solo in there. 20 Years of Five Finger Death Punch, Volume 1. It's out. So Volume 2 is coming out. Check them out. You got to hear the new version by Refuse. I like to wrap these up, Zoltan. You guys have, like you said, some hardcore fans. Mm-hmm. What do you want to say directly to your fans?
Well, exactly that. Like, hey guys, this is the birthday present. You know, like, you guys are with us for forever, literally. 20 years is forever, and in our eyes, right? So for a whole existence, and then this is our celebration, 20th anniversary edition. Check it out. You know, if obviously you can switch the streams out to the new ones. Hey,
yeah,
happy 20th anniversary.
Only listen to the new streams. That's the most important thing. If you're going to listen to Five Finger Death Punch,
listen to both.
Only the new ones.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So what he said.
Zoltan, you're the man. Thank you so much.
I'm very diplomatic. See what I mean? But he said it. Listen to him.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.